Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card is messages from the Archangels for you about blessings and a new beginning, particularly around a new beginning. And the inspiration to do this is I just felt really drawn to using this deck of Archangel representations, which has chibi related, very cute, very lovely depictions of the Archangels, particularly the Archangels connected to the Kabbalah. And also then pairing that up with the beautiful and colourful and positive sort of vibes that come from the Chibi Tarot. So I wanted to look at new beginnings because the energy of the Chibi characters makes me think of the new things in life, the almost the childlike wonder that we have when something new is coming in, when we have something to explore, when we really want us to see how far something will go, and where we have that kind of enthusiasm, a little bit like the energy of the Fool card in the tarot as well. So the whole design of this and kind of like aesthetically, I'll be using some other decks that have what I would call whimsical sort of or very sort of beautiful characterizations and so forth to give us more information. But the idea is that the Archangels are wanting to bring you a message or a series of messages about a new beginning for you in your life. It could be the return of something and so forth that you now can look at afresh, or it could be something completely new. And just sort of like let you know what it's about, what the blessings are associated with it, and you know what can you manifest as a new beginning as a result of it. That's the kind of thing we're going to be looking at. And to help with the choice, I'm kind of giving you the first sort of thing here around what the kind of energy around the prime new beginning is, because there's a card from the Archangel deck, the Chibi Archangel deck, to be part of the choice, but it's also the primary description of the new beginning. And then there's two other cards from the deck. I don't know what they are at this point. They're just intuitively chosen, which will give some more information about or more messages or nuancing to that, anything else you might need to know, any other blessings that might be associated with it or help you with it, whatever it might be. So that will hopefully help you decide which reading to go to, but you can of course go to more than one. There might be more than one new beginning and blessing that is meant to come to you. So you do you on that. So for pile number one, we have Camiel with restoration. For pile number two, we have Metatron with connection. And with pile number three, we have Uriel with creativity. So when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, I've got the timestamps in the description below as always, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile one to your reading. So you came to the reading with Camiel. Camiel is the archangel that in the Kabbalah is associated with Gevurah. So Gevurah is a very strong Sephiroth. It is about discipline and courage and sometimes warlike sort of energies. Mars is the planet that's associated with it, so it has all that kind of active and potentially combative energy. But Camiel brings the capacity in whatever this new beginning is to have the discipline to see it through. And the fact that Spirit chose Camiel here to be the primary messenger for this, and that the particular aspect of it, because in this deck, as you can see, we've got two for Zavkiel here, there are different aspects of the Archangel messages for each of them, of restoration. I do feel that this new beginning is something, it is going to do one of two things. It is either about something that didn't work before, but you can restore it, a relationship that didn't work, but second time round, it is actually like it's brand new and it really now has a better alignment, or a project that didn't work but in a slightly different form is going to work, that kind of thing. The other side is that Camiel is very much about justice. When you have the Sephiroth, it's about discipline and structure and doing the right thing, really. Justice is part of that and the balance of that. So this could also be, for some of you, a new beginning that restores to you something that was lost in a kind of justice sense. So if you have gone through a difficult time with some sort of legal issues, you lost a job or you lost a legal battle, or something was taken from you unfairly, there is some sort of restorative justice potentially associated with this. Now, what's interesting is that for the other, well, I thought this could be up to 3 archangels that talk to you. In this case, it's 2 because we've got Camiel and then we've also got Zavkiel. Zavkiel is the archangel that's associated with Binah in the Kabbalah. So that is the divine feminine. So for some of you, there could be something about your position or role around a divine feminine or being a divine feminine, whatever it might be, or anything to do with the sort of female sort of side of things, that in terms of the dynamic of the divine masculine and divine feminine. But Binah is more than that as well. She is or Zavkiel there, and Binah's energy is the divine mother. It is a very creative and innately creative Sephiroth, but it's also one that combines knowledge with understanding. What's very interesting about these, if you saw a layout of the Tree of Life, there are 3 pillars. There is the pillar of severity, the middle pillar, and the pillar of mercy. These are all on the pillar of severity. They are on the female side of the Kabbalah, and that is not meant to be saying that the female is more severe and the male is more merciful in some sort of pejorative sense to the female. If you really look at how it's structured and how it operates, if you start with Chokmah being an understanding, ideas, wisdom, but then it is combined with understanding of emotion and what it is to be in the world, in many arguments, the pillar of severity shows the greatest strength for seeing things through and so forth. It is severe because it has the things that require something of us on that level. So Binah requires that we show understanding and compassion, not just knowledge of something. Then the next one down, which is Gevurah, requires that we actually take that knowledge and understanding and hold it with some discipline and courage and so forth to do the right thing. And then the third one in that is Hod, which is understanding what our divine mission is and aligning our will with the divine will. So surrendering to what our bigger purpose is. So there's a lot of heft to that particular pillar. The middle pillar is kind of a balancing, negotiating, heart-centered pillar. And the side, the more male side with Chokmah, and then Hesed and Nesak is showing that understanding is important, balance is important, but also the kind of the mercy, the kindness, and the will to be almost a win-win when you have it in balance is how it operates. So, but it does suggest that there is something around this when you start with the restoration, and then we're looking at, we've also got Zavkiel, so we've also got Binah. This is a new beginning after something that was difficult or something that was unfair or something that was lost. So if you don't feel that that's the case around you, then possibly you've chosen the wrong reading. Then it would be worth looking at one of the others. But I suspect if you came to restoration, you probably do know exactly what you're doing, unless you always go to pole number 1. So I think there is something here about reclaiming something. And Binah brings the understanding of why the issue happened so that you don't repeat the patterns. And she also brings the courage to go forward with that and say, yes, it was a problem before, it was difficult before, but I understand what happened and I'm not being a victim. I'm not blaming others. I'm sort of seeing it as on a high level, and I'm taking courage to move forward and reclaim it. So I think that's the energy we're talking about. So this is something returning, but in a different form. So let's just get 4 cards for a bit more detail of the restoration. Then we'll get 3 cards for each of those, just for a little bit about how these are other blessings or aspects of you achieving this new beginning. So a little bit more about the restoration that we're talking about using the tarot. 5 of Coins, 7 of Swords reversed, the Emperor, 9 of Swords. Okay, yeah, this was tricky. And it's interesting with the Emperor, which is, like it's a very Mars energy. So there is something combative here. It was something probably that you battled for or competed for in some way. And it was something that you really should have been sovereign to. You should have actually been able to lead or whatever. So whatever it was, and it seemed to isolate you, either monetarily or from people, there was an isolation. And you kind of had to walk away from it, I think. Being realistic, you had to walk away from it because the amount of worry and concern was too debilitating. So it's saying that understanding that occurred but this is going to be restored to you. This is really describing more of what happened, and this is where you should have ended up. So this is taking you to a point of sovereignty in some way. So if this was a job you missed out on, you're likely to get another similar job somewhere else, or that job comes up and you get it this time and you should have got it last time, but now you've got it. So it could be that. It could be that the blessing is, in fact, by being isolated and made to worry and making the realistic thing to let something go, it's opened up the new beginning for you almost instantly, to like leave a workplace and then start your own business, for instance. But whatever this is, it's leading towards the Emperor energy. And that's why it's really important that it comes via Camille and with that blessing, because the Emperor at his best will embody the side of that Sephiroth, would embody the sense of right leadership that is disciplined and structured in a way that is just. So you are being invited to not only restore a progress in whatever this is that you should have had before, but you're going to have now, but also from the learning, and so this is the understanding of going through that, to not replicate it, to actually do right action and right leadership and that kind of thing in whatever it is, whether it's work or a relationship, whatever it was. But you were definitely isolated, definitely not rewarded when you should have been. And you were realistic enough not to just stay in a victim mode. You focused on action to reclaim it. And because of that, that blessing is coming. So how did understanding and courage, or how are they going to help you claim this restored outcome? 5 of Cups, 2 of Swords, 3 of Wands, and 10 of Wands reversed, Queen of Cups, Temperance reversed. Okay, so what this is saying is that the understanding of this allows you to move past the disappointment, allows you to make choices even when you're not sure of how it's going to happen, to move forward with faith that it is. So this is why the door is opening for something to be restored to you, because you're almost taking a blind faith step to go towards your goals. You know that something didn't occur that should have occurred. You also know you're going to get there. You're not really sure how, but you have the understanding of why it's important not to dwell on being a victim. It's more important to be focusing on what you want to do. So the understanding is allowing you to move past feeling aggrieved and move towards achieving something. The courage is taking a weight off for you. It's sort of like the courage that you have takes away a lot of the concerns and the worries that you had up there. You go, I know that I'm on the right path. I know that I just have to bring things into balance. So it's interesting. I think that for you, there's something about your mind that is very sharp and very clear, and in fact will be part of what brings you this new beginning, but you have to balance it, because it's like maybe even what happened, and maybe this is part of the understanding, is that you overthought something and it isolated you from what you were meant to do. And now it's like, okay, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm also going to go into my heart and be the divine feminine. I'm going to use my intuition as well as my mind. And that gives me the courage to bring things into balance. So I think there's a dual part of this that says that you understand that something wrong did happen. You really should have achieved whatever this was. Been chosen in love, been chosen in a job, whatever it is. But by realistically walking away from that, but keeping on the path and understanding that this isn't about victimhood, it's about aligning all the energies, you sort of also understood and had the courage to go with your instincts. This is showing here as well too. You're going, okay, I'm not going to worry that much about every detail. I'm going to use my intuition. I'm going to move forward. That brings things more into balance. So let's see what the combined energy brings you. Put all of that together. Ace of Wands reversed, Judgment, 6 of Cups reversed, 2 of Pentacles. Okay, you're going to be called to make a material choice soon. Something to do with this new beginning. It does require either a balancing of a couple of options, or it requires a material choice. What this is definitely saying is that this hasn't happened yet. The action to restore has not happened. You're just getting a sense of it coming because you are listening to your intuition a bit more. It will come fairly quickly and you won't have a lot of time to think about it, which will also force you into your intuition, but that is good. So it's like once it happens, you need to move quickly. This is telling you this is definitely a new beginning. It is not a rerun of the past. So it's very unlikely if this was a job that would actually be the job you originally applied for. If it was, some very big things have changed, like it's a different management structure above it or something like that. It's much more likely, though, to be something completely new. And you may, if you are still in an organisation and you've kind of gone, okay, I didn't get it, I'll wait for my next turn, you may have to make a decision about, do I leave where I am when I don't know what I'm going to, and trust that. And I think this is saying, yes, do that, but you're going to have to decide very quickly. So I literally see the judgment card, particularly when it's upright, like when you get the call being offered a job, there's something like that coming through for you. If it is around love or something like that, there is a new passion to meet and you'll know almost instantly that there's a karmic connection. It's different to the past relationships you had that caused you worry and made you feel alone, but there is a karmic connection. But it's like a different relationship now, and then you choose, like, is this somebody that I want to connect with? But it's kind of resetting it's like resetting the chessboard so that you can have the opportunity to go towards this emperor energy and whatever that means to you. And this time get it, because you probably should have before, but now if you listen to your intuition as much as your intellect, you will get it. So that's very promising, but it is, as I say, it's fixing up something. So let's have a look at some other fortune energy around it. I want to use the personal predictions energy. And I want to get a couple of cards around the restoration itself, and then around understanding and around courage. I'll get one each for that, and then a couple that are combined, so that we just get a sense of how some of this might work out in terms of practical energies around you. So around the restoration, that you are going to have justice. That's what this is saying. Love and connection. Okay, for many of you, it may be about justice within a love relationship. Otherwise, you will be able to reconnect to your heart and your intuition as a result of this. You were isolated in some way. And a change in perspective. Yeah, a change in the way that you look at things. It's not just I've always got to kind of navigate and negotiate my way through really difficult situations and really keep my mind on high alert. It's also bringing in the intuition. I think that's what we're sort of feeling when we're looking at that. But it will make you look at things very differently and make you look at the connections you have around you very differently. In terms of the understanding aspect of it, affected by external, okay, you will become more and more clear about how the external world affected you and what you need to do to move past that. I think this card looks a bit like being caught in the middle of the tower or a storm. So this is interesting. If you understand the disappointment and external factors created what happened, but if you kind of go, I'm still going to keep moving. Once the storm settles, I'm going to keep moving. Even if I don't know what the terrain is, you start to understand that you have sovereignty and license as well. But you've understood what the external world did. And then the courage, take a leap, take action. You will do that. You feel comfortable to do that. So it's confirming that. So bringing it all together. Success, celebrate. Yes, you are meant to win something. There's no doubt about that. You are meant to be successful. Sorry, I just put that so that you can see it a bit more clearly. And transform and grow because you've been prepared to grow. Okay, this is the thing. The Archangels are saying to you, you probably should have had the success. You were ready for it. But external events stopped that for some reason. And maybe you overthought it and you didn't listen to your intuition. But now you've had the aha moment. You're going to marry those two things together. And this time it's going to work. This time you're going to be successful. And your transformation and growth is the reason. The blessing is coming because the divine can see what you've done in that space. So that's really powerful. Let's also get a message on each aspect and the combined aspect from other parts of the spirit realm. So this could be from past loved ones, ancestors, or just people in your spirit team. This is a deck that is used largely for mediumship. So if you do have past loved ones that you feel you connect with, then pay attention to whether the medium message fits, but otherwise pay attention mainly to the spirit message. So around the restoration process, we have work connection. Okay, so this is probably to do with work or career. I think it sort of felt like that all the way through. But if there was love, there might have been a love connection that happened at work. And that's just sort of saying that will occur. It could be you meet a new love in a new workplace or something like that. If you have someone, the medium thing here is workplace injury. If you have anybody who passed in your family or whatever from a workplace injury, then I think they're with you at this point to help steer you towards what you're meant to achieve. But as I say, there's some work connection to this. For Zavkiel's understanding, you are loved. Okay, so there is love. There is a connection. Binah is that, the Divine Mother. So there is a love connection. If this is about love, then you are going to find love. That it's saying it quite clearly. Whatever it is that you didn't get, you're going to get in a different form, in a different place, in a different way, but you're going to get it. This could be also protection for you from somebody who's passed due to heart-related illnesses, potentially, if that applies, but just ignore the medium thing if it doesn't. This is telling you that part of the understanding is that you are loved, the angels love you, you are meant to have the best outcome. So then with courage, vision, watching over you. So yeah, you're being watched over, but you also expand your vision. This change in perspective is the thing that's really going to help when you change your vision. And certainly if you are thinking it could be a medium, this is telling you are, okay? So have the courage to do that if that's sort of part of opening up your intuition. But how you look at things is very important here, and looking at it with courage will help you take the leap that you need to take. And then bringing it all together, endurance, a lot to go through. So this is the beginning of a journey. You're going to succeed at something, and success, celebrate, but it is also for your growth. And this has been a journey. It's been a difficult journey, but nevertheless, that's what makes you strong, and that's what builds your muscles, so to speak, and moves you forward. So whatever the difficulty was becomes part of the reason that you're going to be successful now, but it's the first step in a longer journey, pile one. Okay, let's just get a couple of planetary pairings to support you in claiming this restoration, this new beginning that is a restoration. First is Sun and Neptune. So yes, connecting your life path to your intuition. This is a very big part of it. You probably were overly analytical and not listening to your intuition enough. That shift on its own, and the courage to take that shift on its own, is going to be a massive move forward for you. And Jupiter and Chiron. Yeah, you're meant to, something that was wrong, something that was ill, something that was not right is going to be healed. And this is a much more fortunate period to come into. So I think there's almost a pay it forward energy to that as well too. I think this is sort of saying once you achieve whatever this is, it's kind of using that to be generous and help others to achieve it. So there's a little bit of a pay it forward, as I say, energy. Okay. So we're going to close out with a wild card just for anything else about this new beginning and new blessing to know. I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 3. Pause if you need to, because that helps segment the collective reading of this and gives you a little bit more specific information. So depending upon which number you choose. So pause if you need to, because I'm about to deal them out. For number 1, we have rest. For number 2, we have the purge. And for number 3, we have the cycle. Okay. They're kind of, to me, like almost health-related energies, all of these. I think they're all talking about how to view this, part of the perspective, and what to do to prepare. Because remember, we saw like the Ace of Wands was reversed. It hasn't yet happened. So this is like, I think, in preparation for it. So if you chose number 1, it's saying before you sort of go rushing on to do this and find this, take a little bit of time out. Give yourself a bit of time off. Have a pause. You need to rest to have your energy ready. Remembering in particular that we know that this is a marathon, not a sprint. If you chose number 2, then this is about going within and cleansing and like knowing the toxicity and like accepting it, because external forces did occur and it was not just. So it is okay to recognize that and to go through whatever rituals or processes you use to clear that energy away. Purge it out, because you're meant then to be feeling like, now I feel like I'm in touch with my intuition, I've got my strategy, and I'm moving forward. You need to move that energy out of your system to be fully able to go towards this blessing. And if you chose number 3, the cycle, spells, divine time, lunar influence, waiting before the result. Again, there's a feeling of something before you start, but this is different. I think for those who came to the cycle, it's not, there probably still was something unfair. You probably should have got whatever this was, as I say, because it's being restored to you. Or maybe you had it and you lost it and you've got to get it back. So that is true. So just like with the others, you know, like the time to rest and get ready and understand it and clear the system is true. But this is also saying this is happening in a cycle. So it's really important for you to be watching the timing. Like the judgment card is very important. You need to be paying attention, particularly with your intuition, to the timing, because there is a time when then, you know, with the moon, and it may align with the moon cycles for you, where the harvest is ready to be taken, like a full moon, and where something new is meant to be started, like the new moon. But this is to tell you that there are cycles and that it's all about timing. And taking your leap at the right point is the thing, understanding that. And your intuition will tell you that, because we're talking about the moon. But we're also talking about, with the moon, the divine feminine. And this is why we have Zavkiel. It's a very strong connection back to the divine feminine and that way of looking at things and creating new opportunities. So I hope that resonated for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. So you can do the reading with Metatron, with connection. And this card talks about the aspect of Metatron that is about the connection of all things and finding, I guess, one's place and receiving a benefit by understanding that. Metatron is one of 2 archangels that were human to start with, the other of which was Sandalphon. So it's interesting that you've got both of those. So to me, there is something very much about the connection of humanity, and the connection of humanity from being on Earth, which is the energy with Sandalphon, who watches over Malkuth in the Kabbalah, which is effectively Earth in the Kabbalah, and Metatron, who is placed with Keter, which is up with the divine, the first Sephiroth, so the kind of divine will. Metatron is often called the divine scribe, so he records, in a way, the process of spiritual development and so forth. So they are both very much connected to Earth, one from the divine and one to Earth. So as I say, there's something very earthy about this. Whatever this new beginning is, it's not a beginning. It may have very high order spiritual relevance, definitely, but it is a material thing. It is how the divine will, in a sense, in you, and your divine will is being manifest in the world. And there is a very strong connection between what the divine, like, because we've got Sandalphon here with prayer, the connection to the divine and bringing something into being on Earth. So something that you dearly want to manifest, I think, is likely to occur when you connect it back to the divine and you think about how it connects and supports others. The other thing is you have Uriel, who we have illumination here, a bit like the Hermit card, sort of illumination in the dark. Uriel is associated, at least in this particular deck, with what they call the invisible Sephiroth in the Kabbalah, called Da'at. Now, Da'at is really interesting. It's like the void. It's like all the potentiality. When the divine spark comes from Keter down into the earth in what they call the lightning path, going through Da'at is almost like receiving your mission, for want of a better word. And then when you return on the serpent path to the divine, in between lives, it's where you would probably go through a life review. So it is a place of pure potentiality. And with Uriel there, with the Uranian sort of energy that's associated with that, there is a sense of the way that you are going to create or manifest what you want is a pure, very, very creative, like very creative in its most pure sense process, because when we are in the void, we are in da'at, we're in any of those sort of concepts. We are where there is no thing, where there is the capacity for all things and there is no thing. So it's like how you actually find the idea. It's the idea before the manifestation. It's the concept or the will or whatever it is before the creation. It's almost the word before the word creates, if that makes sense, if you want to use sort of biblical sort of terminology. So this is saying that there is a very high order thing you want to manifest, and it's something, it's either something very, very new for your world, for you, for others around, something very unique, or this is a process. This is like a process of a magician, because that's what this sort of feels like. This feels like, whether you're aware of it or not, you're going to do a kind of a magical ritual or practice. The blessing is that the connection is there. The thing that you are wanting to do and manifest is aligned to the connection of all souls and is aligned to the divine. It is you making the prayer and the ritual and the process to do that, and the preparedness to go into the unknown and illuminate that, to find what that could truly be, that allows this to occur. But it is like a magical working. It's like true manifestation. There's a lot of pop spirituality around law of attraction and everything, which honestly I think it gets partway there, but this is like more to the point, because it does understand with prayer, that is the communication and the connection to the divine. It's not just us sort of sitting and having a vision board and thinking all we have to do is think, imagine it happening. It's got to align in some way to the higher good, your higher good, and to the higher good of others for it to actually work. And you do have to understand the environment, and you have to have a clarity on what it is that you're trying to create. Because if you go into the void, into the creative soup, so to speak, and you don't know, God knows what comes out of it. So basically, this is a more ritualized and more knowledgeable, whether you're actually consciously knowledgeable or whether it's something that you've developed in past lives. That's what we're talking about. So let's have a look with tarot. So we're going to get 4 cards for really a bit more about what is the new blessing, the new beginning that you're going to kind of create. Then we'll see how prayer and illumination are helping it with Sandalphon and Uriel. And then we'll bring it all together. So firstly, a little bit more about what is this new beginning or this blessing that has to do with connection to the divine and the connection of all people in many ways. 8 of Wands reversed, Strength reversed, the Chariot reversed, 6 of Wands, okay. I feel like this is connecting also Netzach in the Kabbalah, because that is the Sephiroth that is about victory, and this is about victory. This is something about winning. You're going to win something. Like whether you're literally going to win something, like, winning a lottery or some sort of prize, or whether it's like you're going to win in something you're achieving. It's all about holding your strength and your momentum until exactly the right time. And this is why the connection is there, and this is why you need the illumination and the prayer. It's like all these things have to align. It's like the Wheel of Fortune has to be ready to turn in your favor, and it is going to. But one of the biggest things about this is almost putting a brake on what you're doing around this until it feels like the time is right. And like connecting back and praying and considering is part of that. And the illumination is part of that. The reason that you're going to succeed at whatever this is, win at whatever this is because it is part of your life path, like what you were meant to do. And it has a connection back. It will help others in some way. And because you've sensed it coming in, and this is sensing it coming in before it starts, before the strength is there, before the Chariot moves forward, before the 8 of Wands releases the energy. Victory is coming. And it may even be that it happens quite suddenly and you think, well, I didn't do anything much. But the thing is that you were doing stuff around prayer and illumination. It wasn't as much in the world. It wasn't that you were chasing something with any great avidity. It was just that those energies were going on in the liminal space. Now, if this was like winning some sort of lottery, you've got to enter the lottery. There's a certain amount you probably have to do. You can't just, as I say, have a vision and that's it. But there is sort of something about being more focused on the outcome and how that would connect and be part of your life path than it is focusing on, just the activity of it. So let's see the impact of prayer with Sandalphon. Seven of Wands reversed, Nine of Coins, Page of Coins reversed, and then Illumination with Uriel. Eight of Swords, Justice reversed, Three of Cups. Okay. All right. So in terms of the prayer, you are asking for grace, and I think you're going to get grace. And the reason I say that is prayer with Seven of Wands. This is not about you competing. This is not about you fighting for something. It's not even about you necessarily being worthy, and it doesn't mean you're not worthy. It's not an assessment on that. It is just grace comes because you are in a position in your life to make the most of what this is and give yourself the independence then to decide what else would I want to do with this. So it is asking you to pay it forward. It is. But it's saying right now, this is just about grace to give you options. And then how you choose to do this should connect back to how it helps others, I think, and how it's part of your life path. And it's saying that the illumination is to understand that part of why you're here on earth is to liberate people from injustice so that celebration can be joined. So there's something in this, whether it's, as I say, winning a lottery, whether it's winning in love, whether it's winning, in terms of a career thing or some social cause or whatever, you will win because grace is coming to you, because you will do something with this to be more just. You will share the celebration and you will be able to work out how to make it grow. So it's more the qualities of you and the internal spiritual kind of thing that makes this happen. But as I say, it's like a magical working, but it wouldn't work without those qualities that you have. So how does it all come together? Three of Wands, Ace of Wands reversed, the Sun reversed, Three of Coins reversed. Okay. Partly because it's not all about you. The interesting thing with this is that I do think you are personally going to win in something, but it's like either in what you were praying for, asking for, it's not just about you, or you're going to take that and you're going to do stuff for others, because this is saying it's not just about you. It's not like a path that would be just about you and not about collaboration is not what this is about. It won't open up till there is a path that connects you with others. But when you're connected with others, that's what it is. It's like this serves more than you in whatever way it is. And it's not that you weren't worthy before, but it's like so much more can be done with this, with whatever it is. So if this was winning in love, then it's probably you're going to start a family, or you're going to, as a couple, do something for others. If this is winning in some sort of career or social cause, you're really going to make differences for others. And it hasn't really so much been about you, but you will be seen as the person who's done it. If this is winning materially, then you will help others. That's the point. So it's really nice energy, actually. I'm really happy for you, because I think you kind of like, you just naturally are other person centered, and this is part of the reason this is occurring. Okay, so let's get some other information on it. I'm going to get a couple of personal prediction cards for the key part, which is the connection. Then one for each of these, and then a couple for how they connect. So we'll just get a little bit more information on the energies that play out with this. So firstly, in the connection to Metatron, this is part of your life story, but it's not about you. It's like, it's really weird on that kind of level, but I think it will make sense. It's like the outcome and the victory. It's like, it's because you're other person centered. But anyway, what do we get? Firstly, we have consequences of a bad choice. So I think this is fixing up something. This might be this over here. Maybe you tried to do manifestation before and you made it about you and it didn't work. So this is like you've now started to pray and look for grace, and grace comes because you've acknowledged that something wasn't working. So that could be part of it. And it's not that you were selfish before. It's just understanding the connection of all. And then we have reconnect and relive past. So this is something that you probably have tried before. This reconnects to what it was about, but it recalibrates it and you relive it, like you're given an opportunity to try again and understand how these things work. So then when we talk about prayer, the energy around that, enter the battle. It's like, yeah, and there is a kind of a battle. I think there's sort of something here where you have a cause. So it's like you ending a battle for yourself maybe, but also for others. It's like, and I think it's also, there might have been within you, and this is what you've shifted, spiritually you've shifted, and this is where the magic comes from almost having a battle with the divine and or with the material, one or other. And this is about the connection of both the divine and the material. And there's no battle between it. It's not there's earth or there's the divine. It's like ending that battle, getting the alignment going on, which may be a process that happens in that very creative void-like area and that see yourself type area of the art. So we have there the fast way. Okay, yeah, and Uranian energy. So by going into that, by being prepared to really look at yourself in the way that you would with the life review, having the courage to do that, and then coming out in a prayerful way, so to speak, it's faster. It's faster to make this happen. So I'm saying it's sort of like, it's almost like it happens quicker than you can even notice it happening. So then bringing it all together, expect miracles. Yeah, it will seem like a miracle. It will seem miraculous. It will seem, how could that happen? And time to reflect. When that occurs, think about it, because there is a kind of an understanding here that you're going to share it and pay it forward. So reflect on that. Reflect on what is different. We're also going to get one for each and then a combined one from a deck that has messages from spirit and also past loved ones. So if you have past loved ones and what it says for that sort of fits, this is a message coming from a past loved one for you. Otherwise, focus on the spirit message. So around Metatron, around connection, around what Metatron is saying to you. Okay, abandoned, left behind. Okay, there might have been something, this could be a wish that you left behind, or this might be you catching up and winning after you felt that you were abandoned or left behind. So I do think there was something that didn't work. And this allows you to kind of, but it is your independence here. So in a weird way, the grace will come because of that, but it built your independence. If you had somebody in your past loved ones or whatever who left children behind when they died, then they could be here to be trying to support you. And maybe it's a sign those children are part of what you should help as a result of this. When we look at Sandalphon around prayer, we have inheritance left for you. Oh, that's interesting. I want you to have it. Okay, for some of you, you might literally have an inheritance coming through. Like it could be as literal as that. Because when we got this, it could be something like that's if it's a mediumistic thing. Otherwise, this is your inheritance that is part of your life path, but it's also how would you pay that forward again for others? How do you build and maximize this and leave something behind as well when you move on? Okay, Uriel. Now, what I want to say here, this will be ones who have already passed. My guide is very strict on this. We do not ever see in the cards or read that someone is about to pass away. So that is not going to be saying that. This would be someone who'd already passed away. Okay, Uriel, de Art, the life review. Clarity, I see clearly now. And medium in your dreams. So your dreams may give you a sense of this coming in before it comes in, or it might be in your dreams that you effectively go to the art and you actually do the work that's necessary there. But there is clarity, the illumination, that you will get a clarity on why this is. It'll be very clear to you why it happened. You'll understand it as grace or magic or miraculous, but it'll be clear to you what you're meant to do. And then bringing it all together, we have forgiveness, move past grievances, finding peace. So if there was some sort of grievance before, this miracle, this win allows you to move past that and may allow you in certain circumstances, if this applies, to move past grievances that others might have with you because you're able to help them. So it's very powerful on that kind of level. Let's also get you some astrology pairings for some other information around this. So firstly, we have Jupiter and Uranus. I'm going to put this over with Uriel because Uranus is there. This is a very expansive. This is what appears to be a real blessing. Like this is meant to be new beginnings and blessings, but this is a significant one. It's very expansive and it's a sudden change. Like this is all very sudden. and Jupiter and Saturn. Yeah, so like there's two things about that. One is it's breaking through barriers that were there before, but it's also being able to manifest and create a legacy, create something that pays forward, create something that is very material with whatever this sort of blessing is. So it requires responsibility. It's sudden, it's very beneficial, but it breaks through limitations that you had before. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish with a wild card. I'm going to use the Blue Dragonfly deck. I just want you to choose a number between 1 and 3 because depending upon which number you choose, that will give you a more segmented message, a little bit more information just for you coming off this collective reading. So if you need to, pause the video because I'm about to deal out. So for number 1, we have TikTok. For number 2, we have I am bold. And for number 3, time to choose. Okay, all right. So if you chose number 1, TikTok, we've got expectation, acceleration of time, finish line. Yeah, it's coming on quick. It will be very fast when it happens, and you won't really, as I say, this is like a sudden win. This is like, and that is because of all this work that's been happening, but when it happens very fast, and it's not far off with TikTok. If you chose number 2, I am bold, resilience, stamina, perseverance, it is your strength and your resilience and your prayerfulness and your capacity to look at the truth and all of those sort of things that takes you where you need to be. But fortune favours the brave. So if there is something where it won't really require you to compete, it's going to just happen, but you've got to be prepared to do that or take the action that's necessary. If you chose number 3, time to choose, crossroads, indecision, planning, proposal, it will bring to you a crossroads. Once this happens, there's a lot of choices to make. I feel very strongly this connects also to Da'at. That's why the Da'at side of things in Uriel is so important. You need to illuminate what the outcomes of things are. And if we think of the red pill and the blue pill, you want to take, I think it's the red pill. The red pill is the one that tells you the truth and gets you the clarity. That will make your decisions moving forward better. So to take time before, whatever this happens, take time before you decide what to do with it. So I actually think there's something really powerful and victorious and helpful coming through. It's like a shock out of the blue, but it brings with it some responsibility and some choices. So I hope that you enjoyed the reading. And if you care to share in the comments, particularly if you've got some idea what this could be, I'd be fascinated to hear. But beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with Uriel and creativity. So just on its face, I think there's something very creative in terms of the new beginning or the blessing that's coming through. Something you create. It doesn't have to be classic creativity. It can be any type of creativity, particularly given what Uriel is associated with in this deck. What I would say is at least one other reading I did felt like it was very magical. This feels extremely magical. Like the other one felt magical in terms of like winning and victory and grace. This feels like using wisdom and knowledge to create something very special and using very magical gifts because of the archangels we're looking at and where they connect to us on Earth. Because Uriel is connected to the planet Uranus, so sort of like big changes, surprising things, electric kind of inspirations, all that sort of thing, which is important to creativity, and is associated with Da'at in the Kabbalah. Now, Da'at is what they call the hidden Sephiroth, and so it is effectively, I think, the place of contemplation and self-knowledge when one is coming from the divine down into earth to be incarnated, which is called the lightning path, passing through Da'at, probably gives us a sense of our potential and what we could do, create and be in the world. When we return to the divine in between lives, the serpent path on the way back up, I think it probably operates a bit like where we would have our life review. So it's what magicians will sometimes call crossing the abyss, which is crossing self-knowledge and knowing yourself properly and without filter. It is also the place of potentiality in the sense of no-thingness and all that kind of thing, which also occurs much higher above the tree of life, but it's a kind of a version of that in as much as for us as the sparks of the divine, the sort of sense of pure potential. So there is something here that is going to come through, a flash of inspiration, a flash of creativity, something like that is coming to you that will bring about a blessing or a new beginning. The other archangels concerned, we have Gabriel. Gabriel is connected with the moon and with prophecy. Like there's something about seeing the future operating here and the wisdom of that. Gabriel is watches over the Sephirot Hesod, which is the one, they call it the foundation. So we have Malkuth, which is earth, and then the next one up is Hesod, and it's kind of the point where we pass from the material into the sort of spiritual realms. Gabriel watches over that. But it's interesting because in this particular thing with the prophecy energy, it's connecting to wisdom. And that makes it very interesting that we have Raziel, because Raziel is connected to Chokmah and its main energy is wisdom. It's undifferentiated intellectual thought. It's the idea of the divine before it kind of gradually gets involved with all the messy psychological stuff as you go down to be born. So it's sort of pure principle. But it's also the realm of the magician. And Neptune, spiritual gifts. So this has something to do with the combination of, I think, prophecy. Like I think Raziel and Gabriel work very strongly for you. And I think there is a wisdom and the gifts that you use are associated with creating whatever this is. It's something new. It's something very unique to you. And it's very magical. It's very spiritual. So let's see what we get to get a bit more of an idea about maybe what aspect of life it's in or what it could be about. So first we're going to do 4 cards for Uriel with the tarot, then 3 for each of Gabriel and Raziel for what they add to this. So what is Uriel bringing you overall as a new beginning and a blessing? The World, 2 of Wands, 3 of Swords reversed, King of Swords reversed. Okay, so you are very strongly connected to Chokmah, I think. The reason I say that is I see the 3 of Swords reversed and the King of Swords reversed. I think that you are someone who have a lot of gifts, a lot of abilities, but I think a lot of it has been theoretical for you. It's like, like if you're talking about a creative person, it's like you have studied all that technique and you know all the theory, but you've yet to do the thing that is unique to you. And one of the things that has maybe stopped you from doing that is a kind of like an inherent adherence to the technique without humanizing it in some way. So it's like a singer who has perfect pitch but hasn't put the emotion into the words that they're singing or something like that. There's nothing wrong with this. This is actually about you breaking through this. But Uriel is wanting you to feel there's no pain in doing that you will keep the gifts that you have and you'll keep the wisdom and that kind of magical ability. But now you're meant to manifest it in the world, whatever this is. It's not theoretic anymore. You feel like sort of someone who's incredibly wise and incredibly learned in one way or another and whatever this is, but you're now meant to create something with this. So you have to move beyond theory into practice and action because the world is ready for this. And it will broaden your horizons. See how you always have the world, the whole globe connected with the 2 of Wands? Part of that is that there is so much you could do with this. So this is saying there is something creative for you that could take you across the whole world or could impact the whole world in some way. But it's in theory at the moment. So what Uriel is now wanting to do is to take you into that sort of sense of potentiality rather than just the theory. And then Gabriel, it's sort of like it's giving you the vision of what could be. Because if you think about prophecy, that's what it is. It's understanding the consequences of things. It's understanding what is coming in the future. So Gabriel is bringing the wisdom to tell you how this could actually manifest and how far it could go. Raziel is giving you a theory. You don't have to worry about that. You're all over how to do this in terms of technique. It's now like working out its reach and its impact on the world in some way. So whether it's that you are a kind of traditionally creative person, this is a big sign. Yes, you're meant to be successful, but otherwise it could be anything. It could be a spiritual thing. It could be something in your career where you're really meant to expand. It could be a business that's meant to have that sort of reach. It could even be finding a soul twin. You've got it all in theory, but you've got to actually now connect and see, like to be able to recognize the person. It depends on what it is, but it's meant to have a very, very broad reach, I think, and to be put into action and practice. So let's go to Raziel first, given that, because this is not to say, well, you don't pay attention to Raziel. It's just to know that, like, to be confident that you have the gifts, so that you can almost go. Now, in fact, what I'm getting, there's that thing they say when you learn to drive, there's that, and this is anything, but they tend to use learning to drive as an example of it. There's a thing of going from unconscious incompetence to unconscious competence. And so when they talk about it with driving a car, they say when you first sit in the car, you don't even know how little you know. Then you start to try, so that's unconscious incompetence. Then you start to try and do it all, and you sort of bash into the curb and the car won't start or whatever, you flood the engine or whatever. And you realize, oh, I'm very conscious of my incompetence. Then you start to be able to understand, yes, actually I'm competent now, but I'm really conscious of what I'm doing. So I know that this is when I turn the key, and this is when I sort of change the gears or whatever it would be. It's very conscious. And then eventually it becomes unconscious competence, and you just do it without even thinking about it. Raziel wants you to know that you're at whatever the gifts are you need for this. You're at the unconscious competence stage now. So you can kind of let go worrying about that and just go off and do it. So what else is Raziel saying? Since I feel like that's almost the first step. Temperance reversed. The wise cat. You got the wisdom. Like, bring the magic. Don't. And King of Cups. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. And then over with Gabriel, before I say anything about that, but I will talk about that one first. Gabriel, Knight of Coins reversed, the Moon reversed, the Hermit reversed. Okay, all right, yeah, it's making itself fairly clear. So what this is saying is that Raziel is saying you have all the wisdom you need and all the gifts you need. Saying it again. You've got to connect it now to your heart and to the emotions. It's not just theoretic. You've got to connect it to that. You're a little bit out of balance between your heart and your head. So this is kind of like trusting that you can do it. If you do that, then Gabriel can start to see what is the impact of what this could be if it was manifest. It's saying that you don't have to sign up to whatever this is forever. You're just meant to bring something to the surface. Really interesting. The moon is connected to Gabriel. There's something about what you're doing that has the force of prophecy, and what you do and the vision you have has really big implications, but it's more that you have to be the messenger of it, and you need to bring it. Yeah, you need to bring it to people in some way. After that's done, it's like it's either, it'd be like on a creative thing, it'd be like sort of someone who makes a movie and then it turns out to be incredibly prophetic, and it takes on a life of its own. A bit like, the brothers that did the Matrix. Like they do the movies, but that took on a life of its own. It's a bit like that. That's an example of this. But then they move on to do whatever else they're going to do. So it's like, it's not that this creative act is not something that ties you up forever, but it is about bringing something to the surface. Speaking prophecy in some way. So bringing it all together, pile 3. 8 of Wands reversed, 9 of Coins, 10 of Wands reversed, 5 Wands. Okay, there's a lot here about how you use your energy. It's saying you don't have to rush this because it's big. Allow it time to do it, allow the creative process to go. It doesn't have to be rushed. It's saying that you will have the resources that you need to do it. You will be able to make some money out of this or whatever, like something like that, or you will have the independence to do it. And if you have to slow down a bit to make sure you have the resources to make it less sort of like just irritating and conflict-based or less burdensome, then do that. It's worth investing in this and taking the time that you need. So it doesn't all have to be done tomorrow. You just have to back yourself and see the longer term. That's what this is talking about. Okay, so let's look a little bit deeper. Let's ask with the personal predictions deck. We'll do 2 cards for Uriel for the creative impulse we're talking about. 1 for Gabriel, 1 for Raziel, and then 2 for how it comes together, just to get a little bit more information on what this new beginning and blessing is. So around Uriel, around the creative energy, luck is on your side. So yeah, like luck is, you made your own luck because you got the gifts, okay? But it is meant to happen. So, there's a very big message here of trust yourself. This is meant to happen, and protect your energy. So yeah, but don't rush it. Luck is fine. This doesn't have to be rushed. This is meant to be in the world, whatever it is. So let's go to Raziel first because we're kind of going in that order in the way we were looking at it. Making progress. Yeah, like that's probably the best way to look at it because I think Raziel wants to say to you, look, you're all over the gifts. You don't have to worry about this, but like your head kind of gets in the way. So just see this as progress to bring your heart in. See, bringing your heart in and the passion into it is not going to dilute the gifts or dilute the clarity. See it as progress to do that. And then for Gabriel, lack of motivation. Okay, Gabriel is wanting you. This may be this actually. Gabriel might be saying one of the things that you have, this is why you have to protect your energy, is that you may feel sometimes like you're lacking the motivation because you're trying to bring something out in the world and it's taking a little bit of time. This probably will take a little bit of time. It makes me think a prophet is not honoured in their own land, that's saying. So you may be a little bit ahead of the curve. The curve will catch up, pile 3, but you might sometimes feel a lack of motivation. This is why it's saying don't rush things. Make sure you feel comfortable as you do it, because you may sometimes lack motivation. But if you can see that's going to come and why it would come, you can recognize it and know what to do with it. So then here, which is about the protection of your energy and like keeping the motivation when things get a little bit slower or tougher, we have thought and strategy. So that's a good way to use the thought. What's a strategic way to break through blocks and speed things up? And lost sleep, fatigue. Yeah, give yourself time. You kind of doubt yourself. I think this is what it's saying. It's saying you don't need to, but you overthink sometimes. But now this is saying once you get to that point, that's how to use those skills. Use your heart and your creative energy and your vision and what you could see this could do for the world and what you want to bring out into the world to give the drive. But when it starts to get a little bit tough or slows down or you're feeling tired, that's when you can like use the mind, because it's using the mind to bring strategy into it. So we're also going to get one for each and one for the combined, a message from the connections deck I have, which is a kind of a medium deck. So if you have past loved ones who you think could be talking to you, pay attention to the medium message, particularly if it describes something that has to do with someone you're thinking of, how they passed or something in their life. Otherwise, we're just going to focus on the spirit message, and it's your spirit team talking to you beyond what the archangels are saying. So around the creative energy that Uriel is bringing, we have irresistible, lack of control. Okay, so there is something irresistible about this, and there's something about what you do that will be irresistible to others. But there is also something about how you nourish yourself here. You've got medium diabetes. There's lack of control. It's like protect your energy is also make sure that it's nourishing, like what you're trying to create here and the energy and what you put into yourself to do that is nourishing. But know that the actual creative energy is irresistible. Let's go to Raziel. You are loved in my heart, heart related. Okay. There is a love sense coming to you. You may literally be loved by Raziel, but otherwise, like there could be someone in your past who had heart related issues who are saying you're loved. But I think it's also to say don't go to your heart, because your heart is a safe place for you. Even if you don't realize it, the divine loves you, the archangels love you, there is love around you. What about Gabriel? Self-critical, hard on yourself, digestive issues. Okay, yeah, this is what happens if it doesn't happen quickly or whatever. You start doubting yourself. That's why you go back to the theory. But I think Raziel wants you to know you're loved and you have the gifts that you need, so that when you get to this point, you just kind of work out a strategy to deal with your energy, because there will be some blocks because you're ahead of the curve. And creative people often have blocks because they're ahead of the curve, but eventually it will come through. So don't be too hard on yourself. You really are all over this. It's like self-doubt's the only thing that sort of really will slow it down to any major extent, and you can strategically move past that. So speaking of that energy, dilemma, in a bind, yeah, so dangerous situation. So if you start to feel like your energy and your motivation is, I mean, it's not dangerous per se. This is not like going to be something that's dangerous that you're doing. But I think there is the one danger in this is that you cease to believe in it. You become too self-critical and you stop it before it fully is manifests. And you maybe go back and, I've got to rethink it or whatever. Think about how to move past the blocks. Don't think about, I've got to go back to the drawing board, because what's coming through is good. So that's really important. It's not like, so like what I'm getting is sort of someone who writes a novel and then maybe there's a few plot points or an issue or the editing process is hard or whatever. And they just, they think, oh, no, 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 no. I'll just start all over and I'll have a different book. It's like, what, the book is good. Don't walk away from it, that kind of thing. Okay, let's see some astrology energies, a couple of planetary pairings that can help you. Because it, like, the only thing here that gets in the way is doubt. You're really all over this and you're meant to create something new. But that always has a little bit of an uphill battle at first until it then gets some momentum and it goes worldwide. So we have Jupiter and Saturn. Yeah, like you will go between expansive, happy, and then critical, but it's also a good process. If you access these things, you expand enough to feel the world, to feel what you want to do. But then you also use the discipline of Saturn to edit and have strategy and all those sort of things. Like make both of those planets work for you. And we have Venus and Mars. Yeah, so like it's like, what do you love and what action do you do? Like remember that you love doing this. And there's sort of a very good balance dynamic of like kind of divine masculine and divine feminine in this. It's like it's a creative process. It has all that it needs. If you think about it, it has the womb and the sperm, so to speak. So it got everything it needs. It's just a process of like knowing when to expand and when to edit or put some boundaries or whatever. It's like it's a bit of a balancing thing, and sometimes it'll go really quickly and expand, other times it will go slow. This is where you use the thought and strategy and the wisdom and so forth, both of Gabriel in terms of seeing the prophecy and of Raziel in terms of being able to create that kind of magic. Okay, so pile 3, I just want you to choose a number between 1 and 3 to close out the reading. I'm going to use the blue dragonfly deck for a wild card around all of this that gives just a little bit more information for you depending upon which number you choose. If you need to, pause the video because I'm about to deal them out. So for number 1, we have the cycle. For number 2, we have gift. You're all over the gifts, I've got to tell you. You're very talented, pile 3. And number 3, we have the universe. Wow. Okay. So if you chose number 1, this is all a process and a cycle. There will be time to create, build, grow. There will be time also to sort of like strip back and edit. Like that. If you think of the moon cycle as being how you use Jupiter and Saturn, it'll be perfect. Things will happen in their right time. Trust in that. Sometimes it may take a bit longer than you would wish, but it will get there. It's just a cycle, and it's a cycle of creation. If you chose number 2, the gift, revelation, find the truth, unpredicted offering, the key, all of that kind of thing. Your gifts are very important here, and the archangels really want you to know you have those gifts and to trust in them. You will get the key. This also suggests to me that this is why you need to get the sleep, like allow yourself to think and have a strategy, but then kind of like switch off your brain, because in your dreams, you're likely to get the final key. So it's the marriage of your intuition and your intellect will also help you. And you do have the gift to do that. You have the gift of prophecy, pile 3. And then if you went for number 3, the universe, highest ideal, unconditional love, universal connection, blind faith. I don't think this is about blindness, but it is about having faith in yourself and that you are connected to the elements of the universe that create something new. And you see, this angel is holding a world. And right at the beginning, we have the 2 of wands with the world, and we had the world. This is something that's meant to be out in the world, whatever that means to you and the situation. It's very connected to the upper realms. That's why you're all over it. You're the person for it. So I hope that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share, I'd love to hear in the comments. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.